All right, we are live. All right. So, like I said, I wanted to do a couple test colors, and I really like how this came out. This is the Seraphim Sepia with Flayed One's Flesh as my second base. And I went with Castellan Green as my secondary color for my armor plates. So we are gonna add some color to this guy. Make him a little less drab, a little more house. You know? It's a weird thing about the Chaos Knights. We got the Codex, and they have some really, really good livery colors. So I don't know about names because they have, each knight has its own name. So in case there's somebody watching that really doesn't know the lore on this, is basically what happened was humanity expanded out into the stars. Elon Musk got us, got us out there. And we ran into other aliens, and it turned out they were not all friendly. So this guy becomes the emperor of mankind. Now, there's a lot of speculation on how he became the emperor, but it is pretty evident he was a geneticist. He genetically worked on himself, experimented and became super powerful, made almost godlike. And he basically is the master of mankind, He's the emperor of Earth, emperor of man. So anyway, he's doing his thing, and of course, jealousy is what it is. It's a human trait. So we had the Horus Heresy. We had a bunch of the Primarchs, and it's really kind of cool because, they're like, why are these people so, why do they make such horrible decisions and horribly childish decisions? It's like, you could train a space marine, but the indoctrination process of all of this, they pick them up when they're before puberty because the surgical augments that they want to add to them have to mature with the child. So got to get them before puberty, which basically means you got child soldiers. So they go through the process, they get turned into whatever, and they mature. But here's the thing, man. They really don't mature. They're very egotistical. They're very one-sided in how they view things. It's because of indoctrination, But if you're going to have an empire, you need loyalty, right? And that's the thing, is they've got to have loyalty. It's really weird. It's a nice little concept, but thing is they're still just people. So some people turned into traitors, and that's going to be on the outside, inside. So this will be on the inside. So anyway, they turned traitor, and it's kind of I don't know. Warhammer 40K is neat so that you could pick either side of your fight, but at the same time, it's like, some of the just dead ends that happened. You know, like Rogel Dorn committing all of his guys to take on one dude because one dude said that you couldn't do it. So he committed to all of his army, sacrificed all kinds of guys, lost all kinds of men. And it's like, yeah, that just so you could say you were able to beat this guy, that's your goal. I beat him. You know, very childish decisions that are made. And in the process of doing that, they've gone and done stuff like the leader of the Space Wolves, Lehman Russ. He said, I'm going to go take off into the warp until the wolf time comes. It's like, you know, come on, man. There's a little something more than just the guy just abandoned everything to go chase one dude. It's like, you make the Primarchs a little bit too fallible, if you know what I mean. Which is, you know, is what it is. It's their story. I read it. I like it. I enjoy it. But, you know, some of that stuff just doesn't make sense to me. But it's all good. I still like it. So I like using, for these bigger pieces, I like using the air color because it's very thin, put several layers on, and it gives it a nice deep effect without getting clunky or matted or all those streaks that you get a lot when you don't thin your other paints right. And let's face it, other than Duncan and, you know, a couple of guys over there at Artist Opus, I'm not sure anybody really knows how to thin paints correctly. I've heard the phrase, you know, you want it about the consistency of milk, but here's the thing: I've never dipped a brush into milk. There's not a lot of reference for me to use on that. It's like, man, what do you mean by milk? Thick water? How thick water? Dense water? You know, I guess that's one of my leftovers from the armies is, turn this a little more. One of my leftovers from the armies is I need info. I need facts. I need to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't watch the news, because you don't get facts, you don't get real information, and it's like, man, I was just kind of curious as to what's happening in the world. You know, I could really give two craps less about what's going on in Portland or, you know, wherever. I really don't give a damn about how somebody feels about someone else offending them. You know, it's like, what's going on in the world? What's happening over there in, you know, Taiwan? There are a lot of problems with that, but no one's really over there saying, hey, this is going on. So that's what I would like to know. What is going on in the world? Finally got to watch my buddy again this morning do a live show. Caught the very end of it. It's pretty good. I always enjoy his shows. I like the guys in England, man. Y'all, the way y'all say things sometimes, it's like, man, pretty good idea. I know what you're talking about, but make a list of words. And at some point, I'm going to say, hey, when you guys do your live show, I would like to come in and ask you, what does this mean? You know, see, look, I really like how this comes out. 3 or 4 layers with the Castellan green air, really thin. So I was talking to a girl in one of the Discord servers I'm on, and she was saying that she's learning accounting and she needs some background noise to listen to, background music or something. Always make sure it dries. If you don't, you're going to get those little smudges where you're pulling the paint off. And we will go ahead and do this guy, this piece entirely green. I might do, sitting here looking at these, I'm thinking, you know, I might do a, what do they call it? A tertiary color. The third color tone. Totally different from the green and the pale. Maybe maybe that deep purple that Mortarion always has on his cloak. He got purple on his cloak, so we'll see. I might do a couple lines of deep purple. But that will probably only be on the upper shoulder carapace where I'll put transfers. You know what? Actually, that's what I need to ask those guys that do, you know, Rob from the Brush and Bullet Gun can't do it because that dude, he just paints all his stuff by hand. That dude's beyond my level. You know, maybe in like 10 years or so, I'll be somewhere near where he's at now. But yeah, that guy just paints them on. He did a video recently. You should check out his stuff if you don't. He paints Imperial Fish chapter badges, Thousand Suns, the Eye of Horus. You know, I do not have the steadiness of hand for that. Wish I did. Got all the enthusiasm and all the motivation in the world for it. Just not the steady hands. But it's okay. Because I'm good. Had someone ask me if I thought it was worth it. Yep, totally worth it. So let's get this guy done. Not 100% sure what color shade I'm going to use on this with the green. Antonian Camo Shade is a real nice dark shade, but I'll have to wait and see how it looks when I set the pieces up to the legs. I was going to go out last night and catch snakes and stuff and show you guys videos of that, but Colin decided to procrastinate getting ready, and when it got dark and I went downstairs, he was chilling in his chonies watching Dude Perfect and his other YouTubers. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So we're gonna load up the truck this morning and do old school pre-combat checks and inspections. Check our gear, make sure all the lights are charged, make sure we both got our snake boots. Go out and drive around the back roads here in Texas. It's always fun, man. I mean, it's not really exciting. Not up until, you know, you roll up on a 6-foot rattlesnake or come across some crazy animal that hasn't been seen since I was 10 years old, and I can share that with my peewee, and then it gets exciting. I also have an issue with loading videos and putting them on the internet. Got to go over to my buddy John's house and learn how to use OBS Studio so I can do that. But I think that's why I ended up with this channel instead of my son Colin, because he found out it was more work than what he was willing to put into it right now. So once he gets a little bit older, I think, has a little bit more freedom to run around the housing area we live in, run around the woods and the wilderness, he'll start carrying his GoPro more and doing stuff. He'll start doing some really good videos. That kid's pretty cool, man. He's He's done some awesome stuff. He's very excited. He just gets distracted quick, loses interest. It's funny. One time I was talking to one of his teachers, and she's like, she literally said the words, "He does stuff other kids just don't do." I was like, wow, not 100% sure how I react to that, but do tell, what does he do that other kids don't do? She leans in real close and whispers like it's, he eats ants. He eats ants. So yes, we saw him eating ants, and he was telling the other kids how it's an excellent source of protein. Well, he wasn't wrong. Well, we don't want him telling the other kids to eat ants. Well, tell the other kids don't eat ants. I mean, at the time he was like 7. Saw that on YouTube. My wife was trying her best not to just burst out laughing because, this lady seemed like it was a really big deal that he ate some ants. It's like, well, I don't know what to say to that. I really do not know how to respond. Not sure how many layers I've put on these. I just look at it in the light, and if it looks like it needs a little another layer on there, I'll throw another quick layer on there, just like this. Brush it over. There we go. That looks really good. That's ready for shading. I wanted to go down to the river and go magnet fishing. I've been watching magnet fishing. I might start magnet fishing. That I'm one of those guys that's in desperate need of a hobby that can fill more of his time. I like fishing, but magnet fishing seems like it would be really fun. Just the discovery of things. I watch a lot of videos where guys go scuba diving down in the river down by Austin, where everybody goes and parties. Find cell phones, wallets, all kinds of stuff. I always try to give it back to the guy. Everybody, or gal, everybody always says the same thing. Let me give you money. No, they always refuse. And I'm with them. I understand. I've got the snake thing I do here for my neighbors, where I go out and I catch snakes out of their yard. I don't do it so they'll pay me. I do it because there was a guy here that was doing, and I could see that, I could see that's your thing, pest control. But he was charging $250 a pop to go to someone's house and get a snake out of their driveway or garage, and to me, I'll be honest with you, that did not sit well. I was not a fan of someone doing that. I thought it was very cheap, and it was kind of taking advantage of my neighbors, So I took it upon myself to just start doing it. And of course, no good deed goes unpunished, because there's always somebody that going to be upset with you because you're happy or you're making other people happy, and they're miserable and they just want to be miserable too. So there's always that. So every now and then I'm public enemy number 1 on the local neighbor app because reasons. But it's all good. They don't hurt me. I understand where they're coming from. I understand their confusion. I don't agree with it, but hey, who am I to try to tell someone else what they think is right or wrong? I can give some factual information, but start getting down into what is your opinion, and it's like, well, I Opinions of buttholes, right? Everybody's got one and they all stink. Except for yours. For some reason, yours doesn't ever really smell that bad. I don't believe it. I fully expect mine to be funky. Here we go. Do I paint the door an off color from that, or do I leave it the same? I'll leave it the same. I'll do trim and green. So, let's see. This, though, this headpiece is going to be fully green. For sure. I may have made a huge mistake doing this, but I don't know. I think it might be okay. So, you guys ever really wonder how stuff works? I watched this thing, Real Life Lore. You know, it's like you see videos where they're talking about, you know, out in the rainforest, there's still undiscovered people. There's still a tribe. It's right off the coast of India where the Indian government has made it a no-go zone effectively. There's a prehistoric tribe out there. People have tried to go out there with books and Bibles, and you know, they've always ended up getting shot or killed. I watched a video where there was a guy that was flying around Brazil getting photographs of uncontacted tribes. And you can see the tribes, people are looking at the planes, shooting arrows at them, waving them off. It's like, okay, that probably scares the crap out of them. But, you know, these are also people that don't understand what that is. So it's not like they're afraid of it. They just don't trust it, fear it as the unknown, you know? So it's very interesting, but also unfulfilling because you're not allowed to talk to those people, not allowed to see those people, not allowed to contact those people. I mean, the biggest fears, they say, is you're going to give them a disease. Well, you know, I got to say, at some point, you know, when do you just say, yeah, it's time to go ahead and, I don't know, colonize, or it's time to go ahead and conquer those people, if you will, I guess. At some point, something has to take over. Who knows? I'm not saying I want to go conquer them, but, you know, the world turns. If you don't turn with it, you get left behind. If you get left behind, what do you really contribute to the world? And I think that's what it boils down to with me, is contribution. That's why I'm looking for something to do. The snake thing, for example, I talk about, helping my neighbors with animals and critters. It's a skill I have that I'm fairly good at. So why not take total advantage of it? No, I'm going to leave that white. Why not take total advantage of those skills? So, with my puppies, they are really pretty, really fun. Puppies are awesome. Make the day better. Go in there when I feel bad or feel tired. Just hang out with them. It's nice. I know a nurse. He got some serious PTSD, man. This guy's got issues. And every day when he starts feeling bad, he goes to the maternity ward. And he said he will go and hang out and listen to babies cry. And for some reason, that soothes him, eases his PTSD. Not me. I got babies, man. Babies crying does not in any way soothe me. But, hey, do you, right, brother? There's a study I read once that said petting dogs raises your positive endorphins. Makes you happy. Petting a dog is a happy task, if you will. Makes your serotonin and all that other stuff go up or increase or whatever the beneficial side of that is. I'm no scientist. But I do know I get happy petting puppies. So I recently learned, because, my wife watches Bones. And I went in there the other day and she was watching an episode where some people were riding around pretending to be horses for other people. It's like, man, I asked some of my homies about that in my Discord channel. What the heck? And the explanations I got were really odd. But basically it boiled down to is people are weird. People like to do weird things. You ain't going to explain it. You ain't going to understand it. You either accept it and move on, or you don't accept it and you get angry. And that's where, the thing is people, especially social media, people like to get angry because it's easy to do. And it's easy to disagree with someone. It's easy to point out flaws, and it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I've fallen into the trap too and been a jerk just for the sake of being a jerk. It happens. It happens to the best of us. But, it makes you think, is that what this really is? This is a way for you to be able to say what you want, when you want, how you want, without, repercussions for actions or words. It's like, man, I don't social media specifically because of that. Had a guy one time vehemently yelling at me, just irate, because I would not say the world was 5,000 years old. He just kept yelling, just say it. And it's like, man, no. And what the hell, dude? Why is that your sword you want to, that's the sword you want to fall and die on? Go ahead and do it. I'm not going to stop you, but really, this seems something a little insignificant to get so worked up and upset about, right? So looking at it in the light, trying to see if I could see where the paint isn't quite thick enough in some spots. It looks pretty good. I'm going to hit this up right here. So, anyway, it's just easier to get mad, so I tend to like to try to be chill. Doesn't work all the time for me. Sometimes I have to stop and say, hey, you are being the jerk in this situation, dude. Whatever's going on is not important anymore because you are being a jerk about it. Then I got to stop and reassess. That's always fun too, when you be critical of yourself and make an active change for the better. I really wish I had some of my old Army stuff. I'd talk to you guys about the real-time resiliency stuff. I've mentioned it a couple times, but that stuff makes a difference, man. That could definitely be the difference between life or death for some people. You know, there's a thing called hunting the good, and that is nothing special. It's just take a few minutes every day to stop and think, what have I done that was good today? What did I do that benefited someone other than me with no consideration to how I'm going to get something out of it or how it's going to help me? You don't necessarily have to just, be a philanthropist with your time and energy. I'm not saying that. But, sometimes just doing a little thing like tossing a guy a meal, homeless guy a meal. You could tell the panhandlers from the people that actually have given up on everything else and that's their life. You can tell who's who by how they're dressed and how clean they are, the way their hair looks. Find someone that needs your help, man, and help them. Just takes a second. And people get mad because I've gone so far as to, people are like, hey, man, you got a couple bucks? Do you smoke? Yeah. Here, man, I'll give you a pack of cigarettes. That helps. It's not healthy, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure I could do better, but, I try to tend to think, how am I going to help people the help that they want? Because some people just, they ain't going to take certain kinds of help because it's going to interfere with their life. I do know of people like that. People that said, I'm okay with being, homeless and poor. They're okay with it. So if they're okay with it, I'm okay with it. I'm going to let that dry a little more. Yep, those are the leg pieces. I think I'm going to hold off on the shoulder plates till I get those up there. Really see. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch a couple videos on how to do transfers, because I want to put the chaos markings on these guys for once. I didn't do it to any of my other ones. Like I've got a Black Legion Chaos Knight sitting over there that's base coated, shaded, got several sets of highlights on it, several sets of details on it, but it's got none of the transfers on it. They're all sitting there waiting to be done. So, all right, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and let all this dry up. Take a break. I might go make some breakfast here in a few minutes. Go see if I can catch this little snake and have Colin come up here and do a live. This is what we have living out here type thing. Those are always neat. So, all right, people. Appreciate the time y'all spent with me. I hope I didn't bore you too much or ramble incoherently too much. Said it's a work in process. Still learning how to do my presentation for talking to people. Still learning how to get my actual stuff in the camera here where you could see, But that's it for today. Be good to each other. Go find a person and say something nice to them. You got to do anything. Just say something nice to somebody. Be cool, everybody.